Alright, I started drilling out these engine vents. One problem is the Dremel slipped on me right there and chewed up part of the sidewall, so I'm going to have to reconstruct that before I can do anything. And it did it here too. It didn't do it on the others. I was trying to leave plenty of material left over to carve out like I am on this one. And again, the Dremel slipped twice and just chewed into things it wasn't supposed to. But that's the way it is. If you're not careful, and I wasn't being careful. I got no one to blame but myself for that one. Can't blame Thunderpaws or anyone else. But a little bit of work, and then, like I said, I can fix that where it looks good. Besides, this is a Millennium Falcon. It's not the cleanest ship in the galaxy. It's a big hunk of junk. So, that's what they keep saying in here. Let me get back to her. Just wanted to stop and let you guys know that you have to be careful there. I'm using an X-Acto knife to carve around these outside circles. I'm just taking off small layers, peeling it like an onion. You can kind of see that in this one right here where I've been working it. Alright, once I get them carved out, I'm not going to put the resin replacement parts in just yet. I want to do all my carving and changing on this first to figure out before I start putting the resin parts on. Another parts that have to come off, these triangular shaped parts back here in the back, they got to come off too. That shouldn't be that hard to remove those. Once I'm done with that, I thin these sidewalls, then I'll turn my attention to the bottom plate and get going on her. Back in a bit. Well, got the holes chewed out. They're not quite ready though, because when I take my resin replacement part, put it in there, they don't quite fit up snug yet. That's okay, they don't need to, but I'm going to try to get them to fit snug, so I'm going to chew these holes out a little bit more. I'm going to use a file to do it, or a piece of sandpaper wrapped around my finger, because I don't want to go too far with it. A little too far and it won't be good. I want that rim flush with the top of this. That's good because it helps me with my area where the Dremel slipped on these two and uniforms them out and smooths them out a little bit better so they're not as bad as they were. I'm going to take some nippers to cut these guys off and then flatten and smooth them out. Reason I'm cutting them off is the Blue Moon sidewall kit comes with replacements for those four. I'm still trying to decide if I want to replace this piping or not. I'll pull hands 3 and 4 and see what they think about it tomorrow. Okay? Well, I'm signing out for this little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get some rest. That's all I'm going to do on this thing tonight. I got a mess to clean up. All that chewed out plastic's got to be cleaned up and put away. But when I'm done with that, again, I'm going to try to build a wire bending jig and see how well I can bend wires. And if I find I can bend them really well, I'm going to get after bending some wires. I'll be back in a bit. Hello, YouTube people. Working on the Falcon again. You know, this one's being very enjoyable because it is not taking me a lot of time to work on this one. That's the fun part. Okay, I've got less time invested in the Falcon than I do the A-Wings, and I think I'm further along on the Falcon. Let me explain what I'm doing. These thrust plates, or whatever you want to call these things back here, they're, well, they kind of suck. So what I did is I took my handy old Tamiya handy drill and put a drill bit in it and drilled out the center parts on them. And what I'm doing is I have 2 different razor saws, these 2, the big one and the small one. I take the small one, and I'm setting that aside because I've already done this on this one, all the way across the bottom. I take the small one and I notch each side of it. Then I take Mr. X-Acto knife and chip it out. Then I take the small one and cut the central groove. And this thing's good enough at cutting that I can cut either side of that tiny little strip right there. You can see the end result of one right here. What I'm shooting for. I got another one that's partially cut right here. It won't reach all the way to the back, so I have to pull the big one out. And this one lets me clean up the holes really well. When I'm done with that, I have to come back with the chisel blade on the X-Acto knife and smooth everything over. But that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm cutting these thrust plates free. You'll also notice I've started chipping these guys off. I haven't done any of these. These 4 things gotta go. Okay? The Blue Moon kit came with much better on them. One thing to be very careful of, these little pipes. I almost broke that one off right there. This one, when I was drilling holes because I wasn't being careful with my hands. They break off pretty easily. I'm contemplating replacing them with some of this stuff right here. Music wire. I think this is the exact same size as that. No, it's too big. I got it in like 7 or 8 different small sizes. This is probably the same size as these bigger pipes up front. Let me check. Yeah, this is the same size as some of the bigger ones up front. A little too big for these small ones in the back. Bam! I'm thinking about replacing them, cutting them off and replacing them. We will see, because that might be a little bit too much work and time for me. I should, though, because I'm doing all this other detail work. We'll just see how long this other detail work takes. At the rate it's going, it won't take long. I've also got to work on these A-wings. Keep that in mind. Yeah, that is the same size right there. So I got my 2 wire set aside now, so I know which size is which. But anyhow, just want to let you guys know what I'm doing. I'll come back when I get one of them all cut out to show you the difference. This one's just started. This one, I'm a bit of the way through it, and you can already see the difference in the 2 ends where I've notched them in a little further than I did on that one. I also need to run around the outside of this and do some notching. But I'm going to save that for last, just like thinning these edges for last, for right before I start assembling things. Main reason for that is I don't want a bunch of really fragile plastic on my hands and me to just destroy it with rough handling. I'm a little rough on things sometimes. So anyhow, we're going to get back to it. I talked with hands 3 and 4 yesterday, and she thinks I should make this thing in flight mode with the landing gear up and the landing ramp up. And I kind of agree with her. I've got to figure out how to mount this thing too, and I might mount it on the bottom gunwale. We will see. But she likes my idea for the pose I want to do with her. So anyhow, I'm going to get back to work, quit rambling, and I will talk at you guys. Well, I'll show you my end results when I get one of them so you can compare the two. Back in a little bit. Alright folks, I have this one kind of done. I didn't do the best of job, but I'm not too worried about that. Simply because this is the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy, and I really doubt they're all going to be nice and perfect and even. They need a teeny bit more cleaning up to do. But you can see that I got them all opened up. And this is what they originally looked like. Minus the holes I've drilled through. I haven't really started on this one yet. So it's time to start on this one. Alright? I still have to nip those things off, and I haven't cleaned those up on here where I've nipped them off yet. But I'm getting there. And, you know, this is actually going much faster than I thought it would. So let me get going on this one. Get her cleaned up. So she looks like this one. Again, to me, that looks a lot better than this does. Get some light going through there. You'll be able to see, get some engines lit. You'll be able to see the lighting on that. So, let me get at her. Time to play with the razor saw. And again, I've already, looks like I've cleaned up these back notches some already. But these back notches some already, but I'm going to do some more work on those. So let me get at it. Get myself covered more in plastic dust. And I'll be back when I get this one done. I feel like a fool. Didn't check my reference photos. I went and checked my reference photos, okay? I don't feel like too much of a fool because I can fix it. Just not what I expected. See these notches? They weren't supposed to go so far down up in. Yeah. They were supposed to stop right about there, not all the way to there. Happy thought is, when I look at the reference photos, there's some depth to those notches. So all I'm going to do is take a piece of plastic styrene strip and glue it on the underside. So in essence, I'm just cleaning out the notches. Not only that, the underside looks horrible anyhow. Right along here, that looks here, you guys can't see it, I can. Right along here looks horrible anyhow on the underside. And I'm going to do that just as a matter of because. So let me get the strip styrene, start cutting away, get it fixed. I don't think it's not a horrible disaster. I need to clean it up a little bit. Maybe I don't, because she's supposed to be a dirty ship, a hunk of junk. So I'm not going to worry about cleaning that up too much. I am going to get the styrene strip on her though and glue it up and clean up the underside. Like I said, it could be worse. At least I found out now instead of later. Right? Alright, back in a bit. Before I put the sheet styrene down, I wanted to remove those 4 towers. I got them removed. I don't think I did the best job possible removing them. I left indentations where they were quite on purpose. Now I can fill them in with some putty and then put the towers on top of them. Putty being Abe's epoxy sculpt, of course, because I don't want to use regular putty on that. I want to fill those with some Abe's. Because this is really gouging them out. Gouging them bad, I might add. Here, I'll zoom that so you guys can see it. How badly it's gouging them. There we go. You can see I'm gouging them really bad. I'd rather gouge it out real bad and fill it than not get it done right. Well, on to the lower engine deck. Once I get that done, I can fill those, I can put that strip down, and then I can contemplate pulling some of these off and replacing them with actual wire. I don't think the wire part will be bad. I think pulling the detail off here will be bad. That's what I'm worried about, because I'm not doing a good job with that. But these are different. These are small, thin pieces instead of big, huge pieces. I mean, that's thick chunk of styrene and it was hollow. And you can see on the underside that there are some holes where those were. In fact, you can see I ate all the way through the ship right there. Well, on to the other 4. Once I get those, I'm quitting for the night. It doesn't take very long with Mr. Dremel. I got a grinding bit on there with a diamond-tipped grinding bit, and it is grinding it really quickly. Alright, I'll be back once I start putting the strip styrene down so you can see how that goes.